Ben ritrovati, eccoci qui a parlare di quelli che sono, affrontare i temi legati alla tecnologia in grado o meno, questo lo sviscereremo in questo panel, di creare nuove opportunità e nuovi ecosistemi, per cui non rubo tempo agli interventi che so essere di grande qualità e do subito la parola a Mohammed Obdullah, scusate se non lo che ci presenta come fondatore di IBF Net Group un intervento su quelle che sono le opportunità della tecnologia, in particolare della blockchain. Lascio a Mohammed, eccoci, benvenuto.
A very good morning to all the participants, and thank you to the organizers for this opportunity to share some insights regarding the blockchain applications and AI applications in the real economy, and specifically we are going to focus on the role of Islamic finance here. So allow me a couple of seconds just to upload the presentation I have for you.
Grazie Mohammed, ti chiediamo solo se puoi...
In inglese perché non c'è traduttore.
Ah, non c'è più. So thank you. Could you just summarize some point because we have not a lot of time.
Ok, adesso c'è.
Thank you.
Are you able to see the presentation?
Okay. So please, Mohammed.
So essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We are going ahead with the presentation on the blockchain and artificial intelligence. I'll basically be sharing a few, case studies or the use cases on how blockchain and AI have been or are currently being used for development of the real economy, and what is the role of Islamic social finance specifically in this area. Now, as we know, Islamic finance is basically, it always demands a strong linkage between the financial economy and the real economy. So if you consider any product in the Islamic financial sector, essentially you will see that they do maintain a linkage between the financial economy and the real economy. So we can perhaps generalize in a way and state that most of the solutions of Islamic finance, they are geared towards the real economy. And of course, of late we have witnessed several products which focus on the financial economy alone. But these are, again, you can see the borderline cases in the Islamic finance. Basically, when we talk about Islamic economy or the Islamic finance, we are thinking in terms of a risk-sharing economy, and we are thinking in terms of solutions for the real economy. Now, within the Islamic real economy, if you again focus on Islamic social finance. Now, Islamic social finance is a component of the overall Islamic finance, which focuses basically on the philanthropy sector. And in the context of the Islamic framework, we say it is the zakat, which is a compulsory levy, annual levy on eligible Muslims. And there is the Islamic endowment or waqf, and which is also part of the Islamic philanthropy. And then you have sadaqah, which is unrestricted charity. Now, other than Islamic philanthropy, we also include the non-profit institutions and the non-profit mode of Islamic finance within the overall Islamic social finance sector. Now, if we think in terms of two broad categories of two broad components of Islamic finance as Islamic commercial finance and Islamic social finance, we are here focusing basically on the Islamic social finance, and we will see some use cases of blockchains and blockchain applications, and also AI applications in the field of Islamic social finance. Now, again, compared to Islamic commercial finance, within the institutions of Islamic, which includes zakat, Islamic endowments, the compulsory annual levy, which is zakat, and also the unrestricted charity donations, then we see a larger possibility of trade-off between reputation, capital, and innovation, unlike the commercial finance where we have seen innovations have taken place and they have not really affected the reputation capital of the organizations, even though there have been uh, some instances of spurious Islamic financial products. But when it comes to Islamic social finance, I think because of the historical roots of these institutions, and the fact that one of the institutions in Islamic social finance, which is zakat, is also known as the third pillar of Islam, and it is compulsory on every faithful or every Muslim. Therefore, it's when we think in terms of innovation, so basically we must be thinking in terms of innovations that lead to better Sharia compliance and that avoid areas of disagreement. Now, I'm saying this because there have been certain instances of innovations which are on the borderline of Sharia compliance, and they have not really been accepted well by the economic actors. And because of the fact that the social finance institutions, they have a deeply rooted, they are deeply rooted in faith as well as in local culture. So therefore, if we proceed with the basic principle that should lead to innovation, should lead to better Sharia compliance, whether it is blockchain or whether it is AI, then we see that some of the applications, some of the use cases, they deal with identification and monitoring of beneficiaries, which is extremely important in case of sadaqah, zakat, and endowments, which is awqaf, especially in the case of zakat, which is the third pillar of Islam. The Holy Quran, which is the holy book of the Muslims, is very clearly identifies who are the eligible beneficiaries. There are 8 categories of eligible beneficiaries, which includes the poor and the needy and 6 other categories. So when a zakat donor or when the donor is basically giving, then he must also make sure that he's also accountable for the fact that that his donations or his zakat, his philanthropy funds, they flow into the hands of the eligible beneficiaries. Therefore, identification becomes extremely important, and that is where we have blockchain playing an important role, especially in the context of internally displaced persons, where blockchain can provide digital identities, and also we have blockchain-based vouchers and tokens, which can ensure that funds or the benefits actually flow into the hands of the eligible beneficiaries. So digital identity is perhaps the first and the foremost application of use case of blockchain in the field of Islamic social finance. And as we have excellent examples or use cases of, one example that is just before you. This was used in the context of Syrian refugees for use in a camp store, where there is on the on-chain status of, the beneficiaries that enabled the online monitoring in real time and took care of the problem of fraudulent copies and with paper-based vouchers. So this was the first, documented case of application of blockchain for the distribution of, benefits to internally displaced persons. And this is another example of my institute, Islamic Development Bank Institute, has recently got a patent for this blockchain-based smart vouchers, which is again facilitates, enables end-to-end monitoring of the philanthropy-driven funds or the benefits, right from the start to the finish, to the end, into the hands of the eligible beneficiaries. So the entire chain can be monitored because it's on the blockchain. And digital identity also helps to facilitate transfers and remittances at very low cost. And as we know, one of the SDGs is to bring down the cost of remittances down to below 3% by the year 2030. And we know in certain corridors, it can be extremely high, like Somalia, for example. So in such cases, especially in the context of refugees, internally displaced persons. You have the remittances possible through digital identities and through the use of blockchain-based transfers at very, very minimal and affordable cost.
Mohammed,
Then we come to
sorry, we have not enough
yes.
time. Let me summarize your speech. The role of Islamic social finance could be vital to develop the real economy through blockchain and artificial intelligence. A questo punto,
at this point, Mr. Marco Pironti, Professor Marco Pironti, what is the response to this opportunity for the city? How can this city seize this opportunity to present and develop ecosystems that are open to technology? Yes, thank you very much. To tell the truth, I would like to get back to the inspiration given by Mohammed, who stems from the need of having the right environment to apply the new technologies. In fact, he was talking about the impact in the real economy. And in order to do that, we have to consider a big problem concerning social impact, economic impact. It means having a territory laboratory. That is the reflection we started from for what we tried to create in the city of Turin over these past few years. Can we have the presentation? Thank you very much. Okay, that's the idea we started from, the idea of City Lab Turin. It's not a revolutionary idea, but it's very complex. So that this means imagining the city as a territory. The audio of the speaker went off. Unfortunately, the audio of the speaker went off. And Mohammed was saying that too. They were talking about blockchain, we're talking about AI, we're going to talk about technologies that we cannot even imagine. So we need to have a city that is ready to react to new technologies, but also as an accelerator of these technologies.
And this model studies ecosystems in a way. So it's an evolution of the classic triple helix model when there should be a synergic impact between public administration researchers and those that apply research into business. So now we are talking also of the involvement of the social impact, that is, all those subjects that may contribute to both the development and attraction and acceleration of a number of impacts. So what we have tried to do is check whether this model may be partly applied to an urban context. Here I've sort of recapped the complexity of an ecosystem. This is one single layer of the ecosystem. You can see the circular impact. We have thought of technology as ecosystem accelerator, which must start off from research and going through all the subjects, applying research to innovation, and must always keep in mind that research and innovation should create economic, social, industrial impact. So this is what we have been doing in the past few years by making specific choices, which are always difficult when you choose within the public administration sector. You make lots of people angry because lots of people must be excluded in the end. So we have tried and identified a few development mainstreams for our city: aerospace, evolution of the city, from automotive city to mobility city to air mobility, trying to use technologic innovation as an attractor and creator of new ecosystem. This is a sort of new arena of those who try and build up these new ecosystems. Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti, the House of Emerging Technology, is the arena which has allowed us to go forward. You see all the some of the incubators and those who actually do techno businesses, but not only tech businesses that we have involved in the project. We are talking about 7.5 funds plus 6.5 further funding. So this starts from the technological answer, trying to satisfy the actual concrete needs of the city. So the birth of the project. When you think of a huge technological project, you think of huge framework. But this project was born, let's say, in March, during the night. Remember 2020, in March, you remember the situation, and this piece of paper was shared among the different partners, and together we developed this project. We have tried to recap in this short video. And this will allow me to explain the logics of the project, which spans over 3 years and will help aid our city, and which must not only satisfy the requirements of those who are here on the territory, but should also attract those who are not here yet. So the courage of, if you can show the video, please, so I stop wasting your time. So the courage of public administrators lies also in identifying what is not there. This was Ms. competition, which would aim at this technology being used also as a development element. The objective would be that of creating acceleration, transfer, attracting all the subjects that are moving along the tech frontier, satisfying well-known requirements. We are focused on a smart road, urban air mobility, Industry 4.0, and above all, we focus on innovative urban services. We want technology to come closer to those who live on this territory and create value and needs and development, also cultural development and social development within this ecosystem. So during the past few years, we have tried to increase our objective. We had the first experiment testing of the smart road, the development of air mobility, whatever flies over our heads, talking about things, both things and people. But this project was supposed to involve all subjects working, all individuals working on on mobility. So in a coordinated manner. So each should state what they would be able to share and their objectives, so that the platform may be a win-win platform. Nobody gives things free, but each participant must define a logic of a common project. Here you see the various different partners involved, talking about 12 large organizations. We are talking about entities, you can see them, telecommunication, university, and we have also created a stakeholder committee, a set, and those who want to allow what has been doing to converge. We want the territory to be able to self-select, acknowledging its own skills and specificities and talents, and what is missing also on the territory. So the project started off from the Torino City Lab inheritance. So the idea that the public administration is the less eligible counterparty for evolution, let's say, but however, because it is red tape and it means sort of slow development, but it can allow connection among all the partners. Innovation must be also social, not only technological innovation, but we have also public-private partnership, and COVID has made us realize that no one can act alone anymore, public, private, or whatever. So we need coordination, a declaration of intent, and we think this is the actual challenge, which is not a technological challenge, but coordination and sharing of macro objectives and purpose goals. Torino has a lot of skills, incubators, habilitators, and the venue that is hosting us today, for example. And we decided that this event should be policy making also, should mean also policy making, defining cooperation mechanism. So we want a dynamic network so that each member of the networks may carry out their own role within an ecosystem which is no longer a snapshot of what is there now, but must have the courage to look to future development of the ecosystem. Thank you, Marco, for your interesting contribution and part of the partners of this project, which is also will be also responsible for the future development. We are talking also of Torino Wireless. I would like the chairman, President Torino Wireless, to talk about Massimiliano Cipolletta, to talk about Torino Wireless roles for the city and the territory, and how technology may somehow aid the territory through cooperation and incentives to research and hybrid businesses that may focus on the new technologies.
Allora, adesso preghiamo solo il Presidente Cipolletta di...
Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Can you please turn on the video as well?
Bene, è la tecnologia emergente che in qualche
So unluckily we may not be able to see Mr. Cipolletta, but just to hear his contribution. We will start with the audio contribution for the moment. Thank you very much for your invitation, first of all, and I would like to start from some of the concepts that have been developed beforehand, particularly with the reference to Mr. Marco Pironti. Setting up a system which is based, oriented to digital paradigm is a complex approach. We are talking about the cross-mediality of digital curvature and different kind of entities involved in this transformation, which is well represented in the #1 National Recovery and Resilience Plan and represented by Mr. Colau, that lists all the digital initiative as a second ecosystem, which then should lead to industrial development and service to the citizen. And this is a very important aspect of providing for the capacity of a territory and those who deal with digital to be able to have a lot of skills and invest a lot of resources in something which leads to integration and cooperation. One of the slides presented by Mr. Peronti was trying to represent this complexity and all the heterogeneity, the differences of all the involved elements was represented there. This is one of the jobs carried out by Torino Wireless, being able to create, to synthesize and bridge all subjects around the CTA, which was a successful subject matter. And what is also important is increasing the attraction of our capacity to attract investment in our territory, a territory which has digital and technological connectors, which is a connector, is very important because transformation in industry towards new digital-oriented tools is important, but a digital business may not exist on an analogic territory. So what is important for the territory hosting the enterprise to have all these connectors ready to host all the industrial development based on digital tools. And then it is important to highlight that digital must be a tool for transition. It may not be only its purpose. So the correct use of digital will focus us on identifying the correct digital ecosystem to be developed so that the territory can remain attractive in time. So we should not only focus on technology, but also on application and service development. Because competitivity, as we have seen among large cities, urban realities, is developed along these two lines. The territory must be able to attract enterprises, but also granting well-living to the citizens. Therefore, people who are moving on the territories move according to these two lines, the attraction and more the well-living factors, elements offered by the territory. So we should have a public-private partnership, which is very important to implement transformation designs and projects, and also to define the territory geographically as well, to identify the main goals and the soul of the territory. Our territory is advantaged, has some advantages in a way, because we have an industrial tradition which allows us to be in a best ranking position, but at the same time, through the digital match work, which was presented in July, we have seen that the territory may allow us to identify the digital soul asset of our territory. Torino has always had an industrial soul, but it has also an innovative soul. It has always been innovative in all fields, so also talking about the social sector. And our territory's capacity to be rooted in industrial tradition, but tending towards innovation, makes Torino, in a way, unique, so that it may be attractive and grant a future-oriented vision for the territory. So my quick contribution can be concluded by two very brief remarks. A territory with digital approach, a digital business, let's say, give huge opportunities as far as job creation is concerned. implementing digital technological logics, implementing models towards the digital application involves large financial and skill and resource involvement. And this kind of transformation will also need creation of skills, new skills to manage this transformation, so that both citizens and businesses may be able to exploit this transformation. My very last remark is that digital transformation and the use of digital systems to manage this transition is a job opportunity, and also the opportunity for new jobs, and from the genre, let's say, participation. We need to work to the presence of the female involvement also in the transformation. And this is a genre opportunity, because it will have this transformation to involve the world of women, because a new digital society must also have a strong presence of the women world. Thank you, President, and I would like to thank the speakers who have been extremely brief and concise, and they have hit on the goal of this panel. That is to say, we are in Turin in a context which is technologically lively as well, capable of attracting investment, capable of focusing on citizens and giving them the main role, and capable of dealing with the technological challenges and opportunity for a future which will involve larger growth of the territory. On my side, as a professor of University of Torino and President of Associazione Tecnologie per l'Accounting, I can assure you that our association gathers professors of business accounting and business enterprises management, which are at the serving the territory to develop research activities in technological fields to the advantage of territory entities. So we must be united, and the network must be absolutely solid and steady, so the territory may win the challenge. Thank you very much for